Minister may wish to recall the concern of the committee to review land uses and purpose clauses of land and properties at locations overtaken by the commercial and other activities in the Federal Capital City, with a view to making appropriate recommendations for implementation. A timeline of 2 weeks was given to the committee. The terms of reference of the committee include, among other things, to identify locations, affected properties for possible formalization of their land uses purpose clause in line with the current realities, to examine the extent of legal holding, that is, legally titled plot particulars of such properties, and identify, establish any unauthorized extensions, mergers, and subdivisions, to determine fees and charges to be paid in respect of the affected properties, to review the land uses, purpose clauses of the grants vis-a-vis the current uses and current development, and to make appropriate recommendations. Scope. In view of the stipulated timeline, the committee adopted a phased approach to identifying and reviewing the land uses with a view to making appropriate recommendations to FCT administration. The following streets, which are hereby presented as Batch 1, were considered as pilot locations for the said land use review. These include Ghana Street, Maitama, Usuma Street, Maitama, Yakubu Gawan Crescent, Asokoro, Aminu Kano Crescent, Wusetu, Ademola Adetukombo Crescent, Wusetu, Ladoki Akintola Boulevard, Galkitu District, Gimbia Street, Galkitu District, Onitsha Street, Galkitu, Ogomosho Street, Galkiwan, Lafia Close, Galkiwan, Yola Street, Galkiwan, Abliba Close, Galkiwan, Lambert Street, Galkiwan, Ringin Close in Galkiwan, as well as Ilorin Street. Methodology. Prime Minister, sir, the committee adopted the following methodology for the assignment: the depth review of relevant documents, maps, layout, satellite imageries covering selected streets and locations, study and analysis and appraisals of relevant documents, setting up 2 technical subcommittees on land use and purpose clause, as well as property valuation and determination of applicable fees, site visitation to the selected streets, evaluation of properties at the selected streets, engagements in focus group discussions, and developing appropriate recommendations. Findings. The committee undertook on-the-spot assessment of the selected streets listed on paragraph 3.2. Findings on ground revealed that about 70% of the designated residential plots along Aminu Kano Crescent and Tukombo Ademola Crescents have been converted to various commercial and mixed-use activities, such as shopping plazas, office complexes, banks, hotels, restaurants, lounge, nightclub, etc. The committee also noted that most of these conversions were without approval, thereby contravening the terms and conditions of grant of the respective right of occupancy. Details of the findings are presented at pages 17 to 53 of this report. In addition to the fact that aforementioned streets are currently dominated by commercial and other activities, about 8 to 10% of the cases of plot extension, subdivisions, and mergers were observed during the site visitation. The committee took further steps to conduct valuation of the identified properties converted from residential to commercial uses and other activities, and came up with a valuation report with an opinion of value in the sum of 1,37,478,716,500 naira. Details of valuation of the properties are contained in schedule valuation report sheets at page 54 to 70 of this report. Further findings include that the collector road, Aminu Kano Crescent, Adetukombo Ademola Crescent, Yakubu Gawan Crescent, and Ladoki Akintola Boulevard have the highest number of residential plots converted to commercial. There are increasing cases of conversion from residential to other uses taking place along Ghana Street due to its proximity to embassies and concentration of high-end residential areas. Gimbia Street in Galkitu District has a total of 10 plots The street is now 100% commercial, while 22% conversion cases from residential to commercial uses were put along Onitsha Crescent. The development and conversion of residential buildings to other uses on the selected street are likely to continue until saturation is reached. There are also cases of plot extension and subdivision noted. So, at 7.5% conversion fee being applied on the above will amount to the sum of 77,810,903,737 naira 50 kobo may accrue to the FCT administration as revenue, internal general revenue for the city management. Recommendations. In view of the foregoing, and the need to formally review the land uses or purpose clauses of the grants vis-a-vis the current uses and current development of land and properties along the selected streets, the committee hereby recommends as follows. Land use change conversion. That the land uses and purpose clauses of the land and properties on the streets listed be changed from their designated land use to commercial and other compatible land uses. That the land uses and purpose clause of the land on the selected which particulars were listed at page 17 to 53, having been evaluated under batch 1 of this exercise, be changed. So, notwithstanding 6.1 above, allottees and title holders of land and properties on the selected streets locations who have not contravened the terms and conditions of grant of their respective rights of occupancy with respect to land use prohibition designation shall not be affected by any enforcement of the provision set out in this report. Fees payable. That allottees and title holders of land and properties affected by the land use change conversion pay within 60 days from the date of conveyance of approval land use conversion fee of 7.5% of the assessed capital value of the properties as contained in the scheduled report. That allottees and holders of the land title and properties affected by the conversion, in addition to payment of land use conversion fee, pay statutory right of occupancy bills applicable for the new land use and purpose clause and as charged for the district. That where illegal and unapproved extension, merger, and subdivision has been established, the allottee of the property, in addition to payment of the land use conversion fee and the applicable statutory right of occupancy bills, pay within 60 days from the date of conveyance of approval, extension, merger, subdivision fee of extant 2.0% of the assessed capital value of the properties as contained in this report. That, notwithstanding 6.23 above, all plot extensions, mergers, and subdivision not considered permissible because to be reversed to their approved state, failing which enforcement actions which include sealing of property, removal of buildings, revocation and withdrawal of titles will be applied. That in instances where capital value of a property was not carried out under the current exercises, following the provisions of paragraph 6.2 above, a capital valuation of the subject property be carried out or upon receipt of application for change of land use and assessment of payable fees made using the valuation report so generated by the appropriate officers. Titling of properties. That the titles in respect of the land and properties affected by land use conversion at the selected street be revoked or withdrawn to pave way for the issuance of fresh title documents. That notwithstanding 6.3 above, titles in respect of land and properties on the selected streets which did not contravene the terms and conditions of grant of their respective rights of occupancy with respect to land use prohibition be excluded from the revocation or withdrawal of title. That the title document to be issued to the allottees and holders of the affected land and properties on the selected streets or location be for a fresh lease term of 99 years. That where cases of extension, merger, and subdivision are established, as built survey by the Department of Surveying and Mapping be submitted within 60 days from the date of conveyance of approval to guide in the production of the new title document. Development control guidelines. That the beneficiaries of the new title shall apply for as-built or remodeling plan approval for consideration, following which applicable building plan processing fee shall be paid by the developer. A new building heights and floors have also been proposed for different streets. That all new development on Ghana Street, Osuma Street, Yakubu Gawan Crescent, Aminu Kano Crescent, Adetukombo Ademola should have one level basement parking. In addition to the provision set out above, the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council and Development Control Department shall specify other guidelines and regulations for development on the selected streets. The committee also made other recommendations that appear omnibus. That a one-way traffic system be implemented on Usuma Street to manage the current and anticipated traffic due to the road hierarchy, which is a local street, and the proposed land use status of the properties. That existing electrical substations, waste management system along the selected streets be upgraded. That to stimulate commercial development at locations planned and designated for commercial activities, holders of undeveloped plots at central business districts and sector centers within phase 2 should immediately develop their plots. This is with a view to discouraging commercial activities within planned residential locations and slowing down arbitrary land use conversion along the various streets. That in view of the need to give effect to paragraph 6.53 above, allottees and holders of undeveloped land properties located at central business districts and sector centers of phase 2 of the FCC be mandated to, within 3 months, commence the process of development on their plots, failing which the titles in respect of such undeveloped plots should be revoked or withdrawn. That publication be placed in the print and electronic media to notify and sensitize the public on the policy direction in use set in this submission. Thank you, sir.
Committees for well-detailed job. You correct that when I inaugurated this committee first, as regards the valuation of the land use. I'm aware that certain areas are designated for residential, certain areas are designated for commercial. But just like you mentioned, people believing that they can do anything without taking approval for government. So I've changed residential to commercial. So I've changed commercial to residential. As I've changed to all kinds of big uses. And if you don't sanction them, it will continue to be so. So if we are going to say, okay, so street will be commercial, let it be that it is commercial. If we are saying we're going to mix use, then let people know that it will be mixed use. So people should cue from here that you can't continue, you can't be doing as usual. We must let you know that we have to apply the sanction as required. And anybody who does not comply, we have no choice but to revoke the title and withdraw it, and then we'll be able to be in a position to decide on what to do with it. Thank you very much.